ecosystem. You ask Crypt fans, they might disagree with you otherwise. We're going to go into Game 5. Uh-oh. It's Shutterwalk Shaman versus Priest. That does not look good for Mr. nOlan.
Is this Priest? I think it's his debut on stream for this tournament. Priest is just not at all played, and the fact that nOlan brought it to the top 16 and is taking it to Game 5 versus Hunterace himself, that's a feat on its own.
Although I will say one thing, as I don't know if it's a combo Priest or a control Priest. The Tar Creeper makes me think it's a combo Priest.
Well, Inner Fire off the top as well.
Yeah, there you go. So that makes it a much different matchup than a control Priest with Shadow Reaper Anduin and Raza. This actually makes it quite fearsome a little bit, because if nOlan gets a minion to stick and there's no Hex or Earthshock, then you can just win. But the reason why I like this deck is because it's got some cool jank in it. I'm talking about Lyra the Sunshard with some ridiculous combos. And I'm talking about Night Scale Matriarch, so you can get those extra dragons. And look at this tempo play from Hunterace to copy a golden copy, I might add, of Prince Keleseth.
2 Prince Keleseths is more than enough, and this matchup's actually kind of interesting. This might sound a little controversial when I first say it, but let me explain what my reasoning is. This matchup actually plays a little bit similar to like the Shutterwalk versus Odd Paladin, in the sense that there are just seemingly innocuous board states that the Shutterwalk just has to clear, because very quickly can just get out of control, and that is even more so for the Priest, because like you said, if even one minion sticks later on, all of a sudden that's a 36-36 coming at your face.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. No one has an opportunity to slam for 14 right now. Ooh, okay. I was like, so right now we know the hands. And if nOlan went for the giant 14-14 Tar Creeper, he would have slammed Hunterace, put him down at 16. Hunterace would have played Serenite Chain Gang, then he had Dustbreaker to immediately crush that Serenite Chain Gang. So, you know, obviously nOlan does not want to all in that early because of threat of Hex or Earthshock. But man, it was like that one window of opportunity where it felt like the stars were aligning for some wacky plays.
Yeah, I've seen the Inner Fire Priest list do that every once in a while in the event of setting up a 2-turn lethal. But 14 is kind of just that really awkward number, because from 30 you put him down to 16. It doesn't necessarily set up a 2-turn lethal. And so in the event that, say, it was a 16-16, could definitely see that being a viable option. But 14-14 is just right there where it's just too awkward to go for.
Okay. Hunterace getting 3 in the Lightning Storm is very convenient. If it hit 3 on either of the minions, it would have been okay. But hitting both means that he gets to keep this Keleseth at full health. And that makes nOlan consider if he wants to play Dustbreaker in this spot. It is one of his better cards to remove things, along with Psychic Scream. And honestly, it's not bad. It contests a lot of things early on, but the problem is that it won't be contesting most things that Hunterace will be drawing, because he has 2 Keleseth buffs. That means Serenite Chain Gangs are 4/5s.
I think it's really hard to say, because I think in his mind right now, he wants to save the Dustbreaker for those Serenite Chain Gangs so he can push through with the Divine Spirit Inner Fire and get rid of the taunts. But like you just said, 2 Prince Keleseth have been played, so what has traditionally been what Dustbreaker has been best at killing is now nowhere near close to killing. And so...
Except when the 4/4 comes out, this is a pretty big punish. Dustbreaker no longer clears the board and doesn't have initiative anymore. And, oh, he does have Psychic Scream. That's nice.
Dustbreaker coming down now just because he realizes that with the Prince Keleseth, a lot of stuff's going to be coming out. A lot of stats. Oof. 5/5 Life Drinker.
That is nice. When Life Drinker is a format of 5/5, that's just a Keening Banshee. And you ask a lot of arena experts, I mean, Keening Banshee is a pretty solid card just because it's a lot of stats.
Night Scale Matriarch in the hand is basically the only threat left for nOlan. Psychic Scream, he just Dustbreakered away a majority of the board, so Psychic Scream is nice in the sense that if Hunterace plays something like the Serenite Chain Gang, it shuffles in more copies into the deck that are going to be unbuffed. But at the same time, nOlan's got to get his combo going, and the Northshire Cleric can't really come down safely.
Yeah, one Dustbreaker being used makes him feel a lot braver. There is a Cabal Shadow Priest, though, that could steal a 2/3. So it's a little bit about risk versus reward here for Hunterace. Life Drinker, though, overall a little bit better stats.
Just a little bit.
I wonder how the dynamic of like Kelset double buffing his minions ends up making it more vulnerable to like Shadow Reaper Anduin too. I think it's kind of funny to think about. But for now, nOlan, his best play is that Nice Joe Matriarch, and good on Hunterace to not get too greedy with the Saturday Night Chain Gangs. Would have gotten crushed by the second Dustbreaker.
Yeah, there was kind of the joke when Quest Rogue and got nerfed for the second time when they became 4/4s. It's like, plays around Shadow Reaper Anduin, but I still rather have 5/5s. And
yeah, I saw a post one time of someone like using the Quest Rogue, playing Prince Kelset like 4 times and buffing all their Stone Dust boards to 5/5s anyways, because they like shadow stepped the Kelset like twice or something.
It's like, I don't need the quest. I got
like,
Prince.
Yeah, and then like, they finished the quest with like the Prince, and then it was just like kind of a funny like meme, you know. Back onto this game, Nice Joe Matriarch, I believe, is a 4/8. Is that correct? I gotta be very honest. I have not played Nice Joe Matriarch, even in the combo priests.
I believe it is a 3/9. That
3/9?
When it specifically is healed. I don't think it's when a character is healed. It summons a 3/3 dragon, and so I think at this point it's more so just for the 9 health body over its effect, and it also is another activation for Dustbreaker, which lately has been struggling to find some activators because a lot of the good dragons that Dustbreaker was originally really good with have kind of rotated out.
Chain Gang seems pretty reasonable. It's not very easily cleared even despite Dustbreaker. And you have ways to easily challenge if he Cabal Shadow Priest. And if he Psychic Scream, guess what? 2 more Saturday Night Chain Gangs goes in your deck.
But on that same token, if he does go for the Psychic Scream, that is 2 more Saturday Night Chain Gangs in the deck. However, that is 2 more cards away from that Grumble and the Zola. Or we already played the Zola, but the Grumble that Hunterace is also looking for to finish off this combo, which you really need the full combo for, because leaving up a bunch of 6/3 Shutterwalks in the event that he were to play Hagatha, very susceptible to nOlan's board, and then from there he can finish off the game. But too much pressure for nOlan. He's going to Psychic Scream away the board.
Yeah, I mean, if you get Sandbinder, that's kind of like finding Grumble potentially if he doesn't get the other Glacial Shard. Oh my gosh. Glacial Shard just as a 4/3 is still pretty intimidating.
1 mana 4/3, freeze a minion. And you thought it was good as 2/1.
Yeah. You know, if this ends up working out really nice for nOlan, I would be very impressed with his patience. It looks like Hunterace just wants to put enough pressure to warrant a response, and this should bait out that exact Dustbreaker number 2.
Doesn't want to overcommit. He holds back the free Glacial Shard. Wondering if it is him thinking, I don't want to overcommit to the board, or whether he has a minion in mind that he wants to save it for.
It's when you do for the Glacial Shard number 2, I think he doesn't want to overextend into the board because he doesn't really have a good play the next turn. And say his opponent, like, Glacial Shard is actually fairly important to stall if your opponent plays like a giant minion. But Hunterace does have Hex and Volcano now, so let's say nOlan gets a little bit ambitious, develops onto the board like Cleric and other things, then that will be grounds for Volcano.
Here's another thing that nOlan has been kind of holding back on, is this Power Word Shield that's been in the far left side of the hand. Traditionally, use it for cycle to find the combo faster, but I think he wants to keep it just for the combo itself. Oh, yeah. Make sure he gets to that 30 HP.
Extra burst. Hunterace has got nothing. So he's it's on a pass turn.
He got the Shutterwalk. Doubtful he's going to play it, but technically he has the Saturday Night Chain Gang Battlecry in the pool, and he has the Zola and 2 Prince Kelses. So if he wanted to, he could buff up the remainder part of his deck 2 more times, essentially giving Blessing of Kings to his deck.
And he still could get Shutterwalk back in his hand.
Is it worth it? He's thinking super far ahead, saying, can I ever, hypothetically, if the Shutterwalk gets cleared, is there ever a world where I win with just the minions in my deck? And I think there might be.
Yeah, if your opponent uses 1 Scream, so the way he can deal with a Shutterwalk board, let's say it fails, is a Shadow Reaper Anduin or a Shuffle. Also, is there potential of dying? Power Shield, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire is 28. So I think he's okay. He can also freeze the 3/3. it's still not scary enough. Your opponent hasn't played a single Shadow Visions. It's the threat of the hand. If your opponent plays Ray Elemental and then Shadow Visions, that's when it starts to get really fearsome.
There's the second Power Word Shield. Only one Divine Spirit, though.
Let me look at the deck list really quick. Is there a Circle of Healing that he's looking for? No.
A Divine Hymn, maybe?
Divine Hymn is what he's looking for. So Nolan's going to go for Power Shield. Oh, Hunterace is so scared. Look at him. Face down.
He doesn't want to look.
He doesn't want to look, but he's like, oh gosh, did I make a giant mistake? And he's like,
I'm still alive.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 3 health minion, and yet for some reason you're like panicking out of your mind.
There's the Divine Hymn.
Okay, that's nice because that allows Nolan to draw cards, which I think is a big deal in the past. The awkward thing is that he just used Power Word Shield. He would have loved to have Pyromancer come out.
He does have another extra Inner Fire, so he can go for pushing 7 damage this turn, and then also healing. Hunterace has the Volcano, but with all this cycle, I think Nolan might just get there.
Maybe. I mean, so if he draws a second Divine Spirit, okay. So that actually significantly reduces his burst, because then he can't Shadow Visions.
Shadow Visions can no longer find Power Word Shield. It can no longer find Inner Fire. It can no longer find Divine Spirit.
Exactly.
So what's left? Just the Divine Hymn?
There's Divine Hymn and Psychic Scream.
The second one just got picked up.
You're right.
So just the Divine Hymn.
There's one Divine Hymn and the second Shadow Visions. Which also is important to note that Lyra is most likely going to be a dead card.
Assuming that the second Shadow Visions doesn't get drawn, because there is a world where Lyra sticks on the board and then you can Shadow Vision Discover infinitely to try to develop a lot of value, but very doubtful that against a removal heavy deck like the Shutterwalk that a Lyra can just live an entire turn. Volcano likely coming down this turn. Clearing off that 7/7, not wanting to deal with that.
My control tech is also raisable power on the board. If your opponent Shadow Reaper Anduin, you're not losing that much. I like the no totem. Doesn't really serve much accomplish. Oh my gosh, no Shadow Visions for Nolan.
Primordial Drake, Twilight Drake. And we also have the Matriarch over on the far left of the hand that we've kind of forgotten about. He's just yet to play it, and I'm wondering what is he waiting for, because the Twilight Drake, they're essentially all around the same stat line. We have a 3/9, a 4/10, and a 4/8. We just saw the Volcano as well. 19 health on the board.
Wow, that's actually a fantastic draw. Because now he can Hex and he can Santa Chain Gang, and there's not much Nolan can do about it. Nolan's also really stressed too, because Twilight Drake's like the worst minion against Earthshock, possibly in the game.
On the same side of that, though, Earthshock is an incredible answer to Twilight Drake, but a lot of the Shutterwalk lists that have been around this tournament are only running the one copy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less likely that Hunterace would have it, but still a great answer nonetheless.
Also worth noting is that Hunterace did not draw either the Siren and Chain Gangs that got shuffled in, because these still retain the Keleseth buffs. The other ones would still just be 2/3s. You lose the Keleseth buff, they get shuffled in. Hunterace doesn't have to actually Hex this. He can just Glacial Shard. But he is also, again, kind of hard committing to the board at that point, and then if it gets Psychic Screamed, then he's in a really awkward spot. So a Hex is actually a hedge. You might think that it might be, oh wow, this is a full defensive play. Wow.
Does Nolan have a Mass Dispel in the deck? Because that might be what Hunterace is playing around.
Not. He does not, and also he does not have Radiant Elemental. That's something that he's lacking. So apologies there.
Very interesting. So Nolan picking up the second Shadow Visions,
which can discover Shadow Visions. That's about it. In essence, it is Lyra and Shadow Reaper Anduin Fuel, which he has neither of. His best answer to this board is simply Psychic Scream.
Wait, this is actually the second Shadow Visions, because earlier in the game he used the Shadow Visions to discover the second Inner Fire.
Oh, you are correct.
So
Sorry,
this
I
Shadow
apologize.
Visions is going to get a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, wait, so... Is there an
Wait,
inner fire
just
in the
one.
deck?
No, I think it's just the one Divine Him.
Okay. I think you were correct. You were correct.
Yeah.
In
Also,
that case, In that case, Hunterace had every reason to fear that Power Word Shield. Miscalculated there. Apologies.
Shutterwalk. None of the cycle getting picked up for Hunterace. Shutterwalk, you don't want to play it because you don't really have the true combo, but at this point, what choice do you have? Just pass?
Pass and Healing Rain. 4, 8, 16 for double Divine Him. Oh, sorry, Divine Spirit. You've seen 2 Power Word Shields. The thing is, let's say you do draw Grumble next turn, then you have to Grumble Hex. Oof, this is stressful. It's stressful because of how tense. It feels like both players can kill each other at any given moment if they draw like one missing card.
Yeah, they're stressed out too. You can see it on their faces. nOlan, hands in the head, just like breathing, trying to relax as much as possible.
Oh boy.
Let's see it.
It's the right call. There's no Shadow Reaper Anduin.
3 Glacial Shards, 1 Zola, 2 Serenite Chain Gangs.
Oh! The copy before the Zola. That is massive. And 2 more buffs into the rest of the deck as well.
That feels good. Deal
That
6
is
damage.
brutal.
Put 21 stats on the board. Buff your deck 2 more times just because. And nOlan can only help but smile.
I mean, granted, it was likelier that he would have copied the Shutterwalk because of the 2 Serenite Chain Gangs that he played. But still, it is... Yeah, you're hoping for that 1 and 3 in terms of the lining up. I'm sure the math is probably not correct, but nOlan is now stuck with no Shadow Reaper Anduin, no Psychic Screams, no way to discover anything to bail him out, and potentially death.
Yeah, he's staring down 21 damage just on board alone, and he knows the other Shutterwalk is in the hand.
Right.
That's going to deal another 6. So, Divine Him, heal your face. Technically, it lets you live, but for how much longer?
Yeah, and I think Hunterace's timing is perfect because he recognized that, yes, if I play Healing Rain or Hex or whatever or wait for Grumble, that gives him 2 or 3 turns to draw the Shadow Reaper Anduin, which makes this a lot riskier of a play later on. This was the timing. And nOlan is caught with his pants down. He doesn't have anything to do right now except Primordial Drake. Unless I'm missing something from the Shadow Vision that he could get.
I think this is just why, for the most part, this list has kind of just fallen off the face of the earth. Because while very powerful in certain matchups, just sometimes you just draw your combo out of order and you just never get there. And you can see that here. Shadow Vision just sitting in the hand, not going to be able to get anything. 2 Divine Spirits.
Oh.
With nothing to buff. Looks like Hunterace is currently 1 off.
Yeah, actually, you're right, because Shutterwalk
has 2 Life Drinkers.
Yeah, 2 Life Drinkers. You will copy a guaranteed Shutterwalk, though, I believe, because the Zola will just land on anything that's there, right?
Yep. And so guaranteed comes back to the hand. However, it will still be 9 mana, so he can't play the second one just yet. He could Sandbinder to get the Grumble if he really wanted to.
Oh,
but
you're right.
But
Sandbinder.
Sandbinder still costs 4, Grumble costs 6, so he wouldn't be able to play a discounted one.
Wait, wasn't a Glacier Shard shuffled in the deck, though?
Oh, off the Psychic Scream. I think you're right. Just playing for board, because why not? Hagatha not in the pool, so he doesn't have to worry about these dying. Life Drinker, dealing 6. 2 more Prince Kelseth buffs.
Just want to point out that I think the Sandbinder's a 6/8.
These Prince Kelseth buffs are out of control. It's now, I believe, 6 Prince Kelseth buffs have gone into the deck, which is 1.5 Blessing of Kings.
Yeah.
And who needs Questroke?
Oh, gosh. He drew the other Divine Spirit.
Oh, there was a third one.
So I think that's it.
Primordial Drake not clearing anything.
He could Wild Pyromancer Shadow Visions twice, but that's going to do it. Hunterace survives the onslaught, and you know what? I got to tip my cap to nOlan.
Right about